That's a flex,
Shout
baby.
out to Asia.
Shout out
Shout
to
out
A.
to the best women's basketball player in the world, sitting next to her man, who's now the
In
highest
the
scoring basketball
universe.
in the.
In the universe. That's a freaking flex, baby.
Buzzer beat a shot clock first place. Got them running plays like they run it in a race. I just wanna ball. Swish. I just wanna ball. Swish.
Hello, and welcome to the Women's Cut. I'm Jay. That's Seaway. How are you doing?
I'm well. How are you doing, Jay?
Good. So, have you been watching anything good on TV?
I have. I just got back from vacation, so got a little tan, and so on the flight, I finished Bridgerton, and I liked the season. Did you see Bridgerton?
I loved it. I'm a fan of Bridgerton. My sister was super into romance novels.
Mm-hmm.
So I knew all about the books because she told me all about the books before it started. So yes, I am a fan of Bridgerton. I like this season. I don't know if it's my favorite season. I think season 1 is still my favorite outside of Queen Charlotte, because Queen Charlotte.
Okay, Queen Charlotte 8.
You know. But I think this is my second favorite season of all the seasons that have seasoned before.
People kind of were sleeping on last season though. I don't know.
I liked it.
I think last season kind of ate low key. I like season 2. I don't know. I like them all. This season, I know a lot of people are saying this is their least favorite season. Yeah, I know people are saying that. For me, by now, spoilers, whatever. You guys should have watched it by now. I'm sorry. I'm not gonna worry about it.
Skip if you gotta skip.
I'm not gonna say spoiler. I'm not gonna say it is my least favorite season. I will say I think they drug out the storyline too long. And there was, you don't agree?
No, it's a will they, won't they? Sophie had a whole bunch of hangups because I don't want to be your mistress, my guy.
That's fine.
When he said be my mistress, bitch, I was like,
that he was crazy for that. But I'm sorry, when the mama asked you 5 different times, can we get into your lineage? Can we help you out? And you keep looking at her and saying no. And then you almost went to jail for life, calling all the wrong folks because she was killing me. She was killing me. At a certain point, like, the jig is up. Not only would she not tell this man who she was, fine. But then you have to go to jail for life still playing. She was killing me.
I understand what you're saying, but old girl she didn't want old girl to find her. So I think that she knew that if she said a little bit too much, that she was just trying to get on that boat to America, girl. She was like, I'll figure I got to go to the States because y'all is doing a little bit too much for me. I will say this. I am super excited. So next season is Eloise's season. We've already met her man though.
Her man was with the black girl.
Yeah. See, the first season. So we already met our man. I'm very interested in how they're gonna do this whole swap because Michaela was Michael in the books, so they did a little gender swap. So I'm very interested in how that's gonna go because that's the season afterwards. But let me tell you, Gregory is a wild boy. Okay, in the books,
yeah, he has one of the craziest storylines.
They end up having 12 kids or 9 kids. He's a wild boy. There's some kidnapping. There's some breaking and entering. I am ready for these later. Hyacinth is also a wild girl. So those 2 seasons, I know that those are probably going to be my favorites. And then I'm going to be sad because it's going to be over.
I know. We'll see what kind of, they can always go backwards too. They can
always need a Violet story. I need a Violet. Yeah. Violet in the day.
Gonna have to make it up, I think. Yeah. But we can always go backwards, but we'll see. People are not very happy about the Michael to Michaela situation either.
I like the actress. She's so adorable, and I like her. I think that they have really good chemistry together. So it's gonna be a lot of drama with that. It's gonna be a lot of drama. But speaking of drama, the NFL is bringing it with this legal tampering period, girl.
Okay, tell us about it.
I will tell you all about it. So the great thing about the NFL tampering period is nothing is settled. We've made an agreement, but nothing has been signed. So if something happens, you can always have time to reset. But the Raiders are going to have to majorly reset, baby. So they agreed to a blockbuster trade with the Ravens. That trade with the Ravens would have sent 2 first-round picks this year, next year from the Ravens for Max Crosby. Now, Max Crosby is not Myles Garrett. He's not TJ Watt, but he is a 100%. He's not a Micah Parsons. He's a 100% game wrecker. However, over the course of, he was injured like during the course of the season. He was playing on a bad knee. He still had 10 sacks. It's the same amount of sacks that Montez Sweat had for us, and he was playing on one leg. So that's how good Max Crosby was last year, even injured. He had an end of the year surgery. He had to go and get that physical for this trade to go through. He did that physical, and the Ravens immediately said, "Nah, we good." So whatever happened in that physical, that knee is not okay, and that reset everything. The issue is that the Ravens have made several contract deals, they've made several signings, thinking that they had $35 million available to give to other people, and now they don't. So I don't know what the Raiders are going to do. The Ravens already made their move. They said, we're going to get us an edge rusher come hell or high water, and we are both hell and high water. They signed Trey Hendrickson. I know Joe Burrow was upset.
Well, that's interesting to see that so many deals were made before the official trade went through, because everyone knows you got to pass that physical. The same thing happened in the NBA with the between the Lakers and the Hornets. You know, they'll send you back if you don't pass that physical. So
yeah, I don't know.
Look into that.
I'm very interested in how it does happen, because given the team doctors are not necessarily the same doctors who are handling any surgeries or anything that has to go on with players. And HIPAA is fuzzy. HIPAA is fuzzy in professional sports. So it's not much that he can hide. So I'm very interested to know in how he was medically cleared by the Raiders, but when he went through the physical for the Ravens, they both agreed that it wasn't going to work. So I don't know. Like you said, I don't even know how it went and got to that point, to be honest, but it'll be very interesting. His knee issue was a meniscus tear. We know how those go in the NBA. They can be, you can heal up. Yeah, you can heal up really quickly, or it can take a little bit longer. So maybe he's on the longer side of it. I have absolutely no clue, but it definitely threw a wrench in the works. And the Bears lost out on that Max Crosby trade. So this could be the Bears who had the same situation that happened to them. The rumor has it that the Bears also offered 2 first-round picks, but the Ravens picks the first round this year is 9 picks ahead of the Bears. So they're just more valuable picks.
Oh, well, look, you never know what you're being saved from.
That's true. Rumor still has it the Bears might be looking, but you ain't got to give up 2 first-round picks now for a guy with a bum knee, even if he is Max Crosby. So who knows? Who freaking knows? I know that the Bears did pretty good. Just a quick rundown. We lost our center because I'm going to assume that man wanted to save his brain, and he retired at 27, and I'm not mad at you.
Good for
Retire
him.
with a bag.
Save your brain.
Save your brain, save your body. I'm not mad at you. So we had to make a trade with New England. Well, we got Garrett Bradbury. We signed linebacker Devin Bush because we let Edwards go. We needed that money for cap space. Everybody knows we lost DJ Moore, but it was a great trade for him. He's going to Josh Allen and the Bills. The Bills need a number 1 receiver bad. Especially now, because you are in an AFC that is super, super, super stacked. They were already stacked, but you're in an AFC that's super stacked, and Pat Mahomes is down for a year. So if Pat gonna come back looking for his things. So y'all better get while the getting is good. It's up to the Ravens. I think the Ravens see that is a very clear window when Mahomes is out for them to get back on top. So it's, to me, the Ravens or the Bills or bust for those teams. We signed Kobe Bryant, the other Kobe Bryant, obviously, as our safety, fresh off of a Super Bowl win. So I'm super excited about what the Bears are doing. We need an edge rusher though. So with the Ravens pulling our guy from the Bengals, I don't know what the Bears gonna do, but impose I trust.
Okay, well, it looks like we're moving in the right direction. And look, all of Chicago sports is hanging on the Bears, so I need them to continue to do the right thing, both in off season and in figuring out what stadium they're gonna pick. Because I still don't like the idea of the Indiana Bears. But anyway.
It's all a distraction. It's all a distraction from Indiana.
Something for sure. For sure. So what we got next?
Oh, Asia's man. Her man, her man, her man, her baby, her baby. Bell goes off for 83.
For 83. While the women were in deep CBA negotiations, Asia Wilson was sitting courtside to watch her man, I'm claiming her husband to be, Bam Adebayo, go off for 83 points. But you would think that would just be something that the league would be celebrating. But oh no, Bam has become the topic of a lot of conversation, and it seems to be a lot of hate and disdain. And I'm like, what did Bam do to somebody? So
all he did was beat Kobe's 81.
Right. So you guys, if you don't know, Bam went crazy in the first quarter, right? By the half, I believe he was already pushing 60, if not 60. You know, third quarter, first three quarters were crazy. The Miami Heat played the Washington Wizards, which we already know their reputation. But when it got to the fourth quarter, people felt like that is where the controversy started. You know, they felt like there was a lot of extra fouling, a lot of forcing the ball into Bam to beat the record. And a lot of people think that it's disrespectful to Kobe's record, while other people feel like they're just hated on Bam. However you get your 83, you get your 83. It's a very difficult feat nonetheless. What do you feel, Jay?
Anybody who watches basketball understands the heft of the Kobe situation versus the heft of this one. Nothing takes away from Kobe's 81 where they had to win. They had to win to advance to the playoffs. So you're talking about two completely different things. Wilt Chamberlain didn't need to go off for 100 points either. And as an athlete, why would you not want to break an individual record when in this NBA, you're not there? There are no super teams anymore. You can't go and just join a team and now you're going to be a champion automatically. You can't roll to the Bulls or roll to the Spurs or roll. You can't just roll up and to go to the Lakers and now you get a chip. You can't. So I'm not mad at him for having the opportunity to get an individual goal that he will most likely never be able to do again and never have the chance to do again. I'm okay with that. There's some people who put up a 40-point game and it's talked about now to this day. Jordan never did 80, but we talk about the flu game, don't we?
Right.
I don't understand.
Yeah, I mean, my theory is the fact that Bam just doesn't fit the narrative of who people really wanted to break this record and how they wanted this record broken. I think they wanted it to be a certain type of player. You know, they definitely wanted it to be a Jason Tatum. They wanted to be a Giannis, a Luka, right? They wanted it to be that type of player. It's already a player that I don't think anyone would have suspected based on his playing style and just what he's done in the past. He's not just a volume scorer. And so I don't think people were like, if someone would say, yo, Devin Booker did this, you know, like certain players did, they were like, oh, okay, right? But I don't think anyone ever suspected that Bam would do it. And then on top of the fact, the way he did it in the fourth quarter, people have an issue with. But I think it's more about narratives than anything. They want it to be just the way Kobe did it. They want it to be an important game. They want it to be more equal pacing. And no one wanted to see, I guess these people, the critics didn't want to see someone forcing the ball in and trying to go for the record. But records are meant to be broken. And every single time someone breaks a record, it's not going to be just like how it was done the last time.
Agreed.
And people have to be okay with that. And the idea that Kobe would have wanted Bam to stop is preposterous because do you not know Kobe? The Mamba would have never. Even the idea that Mamba would have ever, first of all,
Mamba mentality is literally that.
It's that. And Bam was going crazy in the first 3 quarters. So yeah, he shot a lot of free throws. He made a lot of free throws. He was getting full on hacks. Whose problem is that?
They need to blame the team he was playing, because if y'all are down by 20, why are you fouling?
That's my thing. Blame the Wizards. Why are you mad at Bam?
Play better defense.
In the comments from the emails and the people who just don't care, you know, it is what it is. There's a lot of high volume scoring and a lot of bad basketball in the NBA, right? And so we're not going to take Bam's historic situation as an opportunity to hate when this high scoring and bad basketball has been going on all throughout the NBA for a minute now. And so the moment that Bam, an unproblematic person, completely makes this amazing record and you know, achieves this accomplishment, I don't feel like that's the time to hate, but that's just on me.
The true flex is being able to have your girl sitting at an interview table with you, because I ain't never seen that a day in my life.
And now you guys are both the leading scorers in your respective leagues.
I've never seen that a day in my life.
What type of goated behavior is that?
Do you know the flex? Y'all are dating some heavy hitters. You know what I'm saying? We see Coco Jones sitting next to Coco Jones, not about to be sitting at the table while you do your interview. That's a flex, baby.
Shout out to Asia.
Shout out
to the best women's basketball player in the world, sitting next to her man, who's now the highest scorer in basketball
in the universe. So speaking of big flexes, I am very excited about what's going on in Puerto Rico. Now you say that better than I do.
Puerto Rico.
There it is. How do you think this team is gonna do? They're going up against Senegal. Shout out Senegal. I got like about 12% of that in my DNA ancestry. So you know, shout out to the homies.
Okay, shout out to the Senegalese. I mean, I think this team. No, this is not the world's team. This is not the LA 2028 team, but this team is a strong team. And especially based on who we're going to be playing, I don't think this is going to be difficult at all, but I do think this is going to be a great opportunity to evaluate chemistry, to evaluate flow. And I love some of the players that were added on late, like Ray Burrell. I think Ray Burrell, this is her moment, you know? There's a couple of open positions I think they're going to be up for grabs. And to see how Ray, coming off an amazing unrivaled season, does in this qualifying round is going to be great. And I think this is going to be a big opportunity for Angel Reese as well, especially because some of the players that we know have spots, like Stewie, like Asia, you know, you're going to need an AB, you're going to need that size, right? And so this is also a great opportunity for Angel to show how she fits in, right, in this FIBA basketball. So I'm excited. I'm so excited, right? It's today, 4 p.m. Central, 5 p.m. Eastern. You can watch it on HBO Max, TNT, the Courtside 1891. No reason to miss it. No reason to miss it. I'm excited. Absolutely. How are you feeling?
Absolutely. What I'm excited about, and for me, everything is selfish. Everything is player development, right? Everything is player development. And we know that Dearica Hamby and Angel have a really good relationship as far as that 1-1. And I love Dearica Hamby's offense. So I love the fact that that Angel is going to be able to work with her. I love the fact that you have Paige, who's going to be sitting up under the point guard. We already know.
Right.
that Paige is going to be sitting up under her. And we also know that Caitlin's going to be sitting up under her.
Right.
And Caitlin can dish a dime. Caitlin can dish a dime. I love the chemistry that I see between them. Angel got Jackie Young making TikToks.
Right.
Angel is anointed, baby. Because
Right.
you
Okay.
can't tell me Jackie Young don't like to talk to nobody. She got her over here giggling and kicking her feet. So I just really love the chemistry that I am seeing. I love the players that are going to be playing together because you can tell how they're going to be working. And I loved seeing Sue Bird down there.
She looked like she was hooping too. She had her stuff on.
Yo,
I think she was hooping.
I think so too. And that's a great, like, having somebody like that being there, like, that's player development. Like, that's what we're talking about here. And that is the beauty of this particular thing. Like, everybody was upset when Angel and Caitlin didn't make the roster for the last Olympics. I was not upset. It wasn't their time. They weren't prepared. Given Angel does have extensive FIBA experience, Caitlin has some FIBA experience. It's not as extensive. They need time to gel together. Those are the two players who are going to take those positions moving forward. So having them there now, working with Chelsea, working with Kelsey, working with people who are on that U.S. Olympic team, they did a good job of putting this team together.
Yeah, I definitely feel like they have some players that maybe will play for the Worlds, but may not play for 2028, depending on how things shake out. And so to have these type of players there to not only mentor, but also just to get a feel of how things are going to work out for later, I think is great. It's the perfect mix of new and old, experienced and inexperienced. And I think Sue really ate with putting this team together. So
yeah. I honestly think that we're gonna see what I really want to see, which is Caitlin at the 2.
That's possible.
And if that does what I think it's going to do, Indiana might be a hard little team. That's gonna be a hard little team.
I mean, her playing off the ball definitely is something that I know she doesn't do as much, but I think it would be great for her development. I don't know how much we're going to see her off the ball based on who we have in this go around, because we have KP, she could play the 1, but she's a better 2. We have Chelsea Gray, who's the best 1, that you can get. I just wonder how much of the 2 we're going to see just based on who's here, because we have Jackie. You know what I mean? So I'm not sure.
You do, but
you also have Paige who can play the 1.
That's what I'm saying. So we have Paige for the 1. You have, obviously, your starter is Chelsea. But if you're going for a smaller lineup, if you're going for a quicker lineup, I can 100% see it happening. But the reason why they put all these players on this team is so that they can play with those matchups and see where people slide in. Because I think that you're going to see Angel getting a lot of assists and a lot of rebounds over points, because that's what you're putting her in there for.
Right.
So I think you're going to see people who are used to being the stars being more role players, which is what you see in Team USA basketball. And I'm always excited about that, simply because it puts people in different positions, unless you're Asia, because then you just going to be Asia.
Yeah, you're just Asia. Asia doesn't play a role except for that 1.
except for being the best in the world. That's all you got to be. Speaking of tournaments, NCAA is coming up. I'm very excited about where people are going to slide, especially after that SEC tournament.
Yeah. It's interesting to see. We may see Texas get the higher number 1 seed now. And, it's still a toss-up between if UCLA or UConn is going to get that top seed. I'm kind of agnostic to that at this point. South Carolina, no matter where they fall, they're used to playing well no matter where they're at. And so, we all kind of know how that's going to go. But Texas really kind of played themselves up probably another spot. They came big in the clutch, and they came out swinging. And you got to commend them in that SEC tournament. I think they did a fantastic job. And outside of the SEC, West Virginia, with their big win over TCU, actually played themselves in getting home court advantage, I think, for 2 rounds now. And so
that's big.
People are not talking about that, but that was a huge win for West Virginia. TCU came out really flat, and frankly, they low-key kind of looked a mess. And so West Virginia coming out eagered, ready to go, them getting, playing up and now likely having the opportunity to play at home multiple times, I think is going to be really big for them in the tournament. Of course, UConn won the Big East. We saw that UCLA had a huge dominant win over Iowa, which I don't think is much as a surprise there. And then Duke ended up winning the ACC, which I'm not going to say that was a surprise, but
they've played really. Duke is kind of a sneaky team because people haven't really been talking about Duke. But
they play big. They play big, and then sometimes they play small, and so it's kind of you just don't know what you're going to get from them.
They're just not Vanderbilt is a sexier choice right now for people's kind of quote unquote underdog feeling team, and that's kind of where Stanford came. But when Stanford was winning, that was kind of where they where people were still talking about SC and people are still talking about Geno, and then Stanford got 2 championships in a pretty short period of time. So that's what kind of Duke reminds me of, that middle ground. Like you don't know what you're gonna get until you see them play in the tournament.
So who is your scary sleeper? That, and when I say scary sleeper, you can't name any number 1 seeds, right? Who is your scary sleeper that you don't think people are talking about that can make a big impact in the tournament?
I think Oklahoma for sure. It'll be UCLA, SC, UConn, and Texas. Those will probably be your 4 number 1s. If I don't have to see SC again, and I don't have to see UConn, I'm doing pretty good as far as not having to be seeded in those brackets. I think the 2s, the 2 placement is going to be very interesting because LSU, I don't know if LSU could have beaten that Texas team the way that they played, and LSU hasn't been able to beat South Carolina. So I'm very interested in seeing who your 2 is. So give me your sleeper and then give me who you think are going to be your 2s coming out.
Yeah, I need to look at the bracket again, so I don't want to give you all of my 2s, but I definitely think that LSU is for sure going to be on there. You're going to have Vanderbilt. I think Duke probably played its way into a 2 spot, and then I think that last one we're just going to have to see. My sleeper, though, for sure is Kentucky. I think Kentucky is just one of those teams where you have the Tony Morgan, you have Strack, who just play big in big moments. And I know they lost in the SEC tournament. It happens. But I like you like Oklahoma. Oklahoma is scary to me, and so is Kentucky. So I would be concerned about them.
I think, and that goes back to seeding, because if Kentucky gets a 4, that puts them in some very difficult games. The 5-4, those are the prime upset joints. So if Kentucky can get a 3, if people trust them enough to give them a 3, I think you are correct. They can do some damage. But that 4-5,
that's tough.
4 or 5.
We'll see what happens on Selection Sunday. But I think anyone that draws an Oklahoma or Kentucky, you're kind of in for one. You draw Ole Miss too. Even if you end up winning, you may be kind of tired out. So we'll see.
Ole Miss is very good. Ole Miss is definitely going to make a good amount of noise. I'm very interested in this for sure. West Virginia did themselves a 100% solid by winning.
Yeah,
like a 100% solid. So that's the importance of these end of the season. A lot of people are like, well, all of them are already ranked. What does it matter? It matters. These end of season tournaments 100% matter. So this is a shorty today, but I did want to touch on the CBA negotiations, which are ongoing. they blew past the league's clearly not a real deadline of March 10th. We decided that we were gonna do this later simply because we were like, what if they came to an agreement? They did not. They also seemed somewhat unserious by meeting at 4 p.m. for you to negotiate for 10 hours. Like, why didn't y'all do that during the day?
I have no idea. All I know is I lost sleep last night. I just kept on waking up every 15, 20 minutes. So, excuse me if I look like what I've been through. Okay. And I can't imagine the journalists a lot of them who I talked to, who were standing outside as the temperature was dropping in New York, outside of the Langham Hotel to 5 o'clock in the morning, waiting for word. And the word that they received is that, it was moving in the right direction and that conversations are going to be ongoing. So it definitely looks like that internal pressure point deadline that was likely given by Adam Silver to not only pressure the W, but to mostly pressure the players into agreeing to something, which it doesn't look like they kind of acquiesced to, has been blown, and that they're going to meet again today, and hopefully continue to meet until they reach some type of resolve. What really is interesting to me is that it seems like to have a negotiation that lasted over 10, 11 hours, there clearly needed to be a lot of conversation going on up until this point. And the fact that now they're really talking as of on March 10th, I don't know, maybe Adam Silver should have gave a deadline before, if that was what it was going to take especially for the W to be negotiating in good faith, because now we're meeting for 10 hours. Now they're realizing that the WNBPA is very serious about this, gross revenue and the revenue sharing issue, and that they're not folding. Yeah, it's crazy that all of that happened on March 10th.
It's giving, and as somebody with ADHD, it's giving ADHD level of procrastination, because y'all could have did this before when the league was lollygagging, not actually responding to proposals, showing up to meetings unprepared, putting out misinformation and disinformation amongst journalists, not having any tight security. I was looking at the journalists and they were like, literally anybody with the mic can come and stand out here. Like, it just feels like the league was being very unserious until they sat down at the actual table. So I'm with you, and I feel like this might have been more a push for the W, because the W MBPA has been very serious of we will sit down with y'all when you say let's sit down, we're ready. Right. So I don't know if it's more that the W had to get some ducks in a row.
What that prime minister say in Iran? He said, we are waiting for them. Okay. The W said, we are waiting for them. WNBPA said, we're waiting for them. We've been waiting for you.
Yeah.
We've been waiting for you to pull up. We've been waiting for you to pull up. And frankly, there are days that Unrivaled and Athletes Unlimited did not play. And so there's definitely people on the executive committee that could be there and could have been there. I just don't understand why we got to this point, but I'm very proud that the WNBPA saw the tactic, saw the deadline, and still is proceeding it appears to be standing strong on what they want. And that's just really important, because if you're talking about an 8-year CBA, they're not only affecting their careers, they're affecting possibly the careers of people who will come and go under this new CBA.
Yeah. Brittany Griner was saying something very similar to that, because she said she'd been in the league. She's been in the league for 13 years. She's saying they're negotiating. I'm sitting here and standing for players who I haven't met yet.
Right.
Because she'll be retired.
Right.
By the time this comes to fruition, she'll be retired. And a lot of these players who are fighting for it 100%.
That's heavy. When you think about the fact that you're negotiating for the Jujus, for the Hannah Hidalgos, even for players who are not even in college, how heavy is that? These are players, you're negotiating for players that have not even stepped foot in the NCAA. And then you're also negotiating for players who have spent years building this league, and they're finally going to get their just due.
Yes.
Like Alicia Clark, like NECA, like Stewie. Like Chelsea Gray, Asia has some more years, but I'm thinking about the players who have like 2-3 years, who have built this league.
Mm-hmm.
You're negotiating for the people who will never touch this money, for the people who have came and gone, and so it's heavy, and I think they know that. But wow, we can just only continue to support them.
100%. I also would like for the media to show up to the CBA instead of interviewing random players and trying to sow seeds of dissension. It was very obvious what they were doing. Taking a lot of Caitlin Clark's comments 100% out of context, to the point where the W had to re-poll their players for the players to be like, we are with them. What was it? 82%, 84%?
84%, yeah.
So
I think that's why you're seeing now when NECA and them came out, they didn't leave a comment, because I think now any comment can be taken out of context, and it's best for, outside of Alicia Clark and NECA, the comments really should be limited, because and then of course Terry Jackson, you kind of just want to limit the commenting, especially when you're getting close, because people are saying what they feel, but everything is being picked apart. And so I'm glad that the players, although I'm quasi media and I want the information, I'm glad that the information came from the director of the WNBPA, because I think that's just more streamlined. It's more cohesive, and that's just best for messaging. So,
and it also shows strength in numbers. If you don't have any division that is visible, it's very hard to chink the armor.
Right.
So I'm hoping that as women do, because they're often better at most things, if they can be the only major league to not have a work stoppage in order to get a favorable CBA negotiated, that's what women do, though. So
yeah, we'll see.
Be better.
Yeah, but also do what you got to do too.
Hey, I'm not mad at it. Get that money, baby. Hopefully, by the time we come back to you next week, that we'll be talking about the deal that they made.
For sure. And it looks like we don't have too many people in the cut, so I don't think nobody's going to be mad at us, right? But I don't think they'll be mad at us, but there's definitely a lot to keep watch on, and so
yeah, for sure. Sign us out.
All right, thanks for joining. Peace. Bye.
Big, you can't even see my face. Ballin' on the court, make them chase. Buzzer beater, shot clock, first place.
It's been a Chicago Clubhouse Network production.